Number 1. The 80-20 rule. You must have heard about the 80-20 rule. Basically, 20% of things define 80% of outcomes. And this is applicable for money as well. 20% of your spend will be the reason for 80% of your happiness. And then your job is to identify that 20%. For example, in my life, that 20% is spent on books, on travel, and that 20% is spent on the whole scheme of things. But they define 80% of our outcome. And prioritizing those things, being able to manage those expenses very well, understanding them very well, is a great rule to optimize your money outcome. Number 2, the 10% rule. If you spend more than 10% of your entire salary, then stop for 30 days. Suppose your salary is Rs. 50,000. If you're going to spend more than Rs. 50,000, i.e. 10%, then stop for 30 days. And ask yourself, after 30 days, do I still like that thing? Do I still want it? Do I still need it or not? Most probably, you don't need it. Now, of course, this doesn't apply to everything. If it's something necessary and you have to spend it, then please do it. But mostly, this 10% rule is useful for those things that are dreams and aspirations. And we think, man, there's only a little money. Let's take it. We've worked so hard. If we stop, we might be able to make a good decision. Number 3, the 5-year relevance rule. It asks, before spending a lot, which is mostly 30% or more of your salary, ask yourself, will this expense be relevant even after 5 years in my life or not? And by doing this, you take a responsibility on yourself that whatever big expenses I do, I'm not doing it because I still have the urge to buy something, do something, show something. I want to shape my life. And if I'm doing something that will be as relevant in my life even after 5 years as it is today, for that, I'll optimize that expense. Number 4, the 10-second rule for every $100. Before spending every $100, stop for 10 seconds. This rule was invented with the rule of anger. People often say, if you're really angry and you know that you're getting angry, then stop for 10 seconds before getting angry. And often, in those 10 seconds, that anger will cool down. For spending every $100, stop for 10 seconds. Don't ask yourself, should I spend this? Is this necessary? All these things will make life boring. If you keep asking for every $100, then your life will be spent in this. You're just observing yourself. That's it. Think of it like a moment for yourself. So, stop for 10 seconds before entering UPI's passcode. Stop for 10 seconds before entering your OTP on the website. You will be surprised that when we ourselves start seeing ourselves as an independent observer, how many of our mistakes, how many of our shortcomings become obvious in front of us. Number 5. The rule of 1. This is a very interesting rule. This is very applicable in my life. All the important purposes of your life, like wearing clothes, books, learning, emailing, whatever the case may be, all your big tasks, there should be one thing for them, not multiple things. I have a camera, I have a mic, I have a phone, I have a headphone, I have a charger, I have a speaker, I have a few shirts. But literally for every single day, for every single thing, there should be only one thing. When there are multiple things, you, number 1, get confused. Number 2, you realize it's unnecessary. Number 6, the per day calculation. This is a very interesting rule. I think I invented this in my childhood, and that is to buy something, to buy anything, you need to know its per day rate. For example, you bought a phone. After doing a little bit of exchange, and of course after the GST credit, I bought this for around $1,000. I know this phone, it will last for at least 2 years, which means $1,000 divided by 365 into 2, which means for this phone I am paying $1.68 every day. So in my mind, a big calculation has been made for that phone, which is of this quality, and I want this phone because its camera is good, and of course, a lot of my life depends on the camera. I am ready to pay $100 to $150, and that should be what you do for almost every regular and big purchase in your life. How much are you ready to pay for a shirt per day? How much are you ready to pay for a phone? How much are you ready to pay for shoes? How much are you ready to pay for X, Y, Z? Whatever it is, how much you are ready, and you will start forming these buckets. So if you can take out the cost per day for every important thing, it will be a good yardstick to make money decisions. Number 7, the zero-based budgeting rule. This means that whatever salary you get, you have to allocate it in such a way that at the end of the month, you will have nothing left. Now, that sounds like a stupid thing to say, but hold the thought. What does this mean? That you will allocate some money for your needs, You'll allocate some money for your desires, for your dreams, for your desires, for your desires. You will allocate some money for your investments, so that's it. You'll allocate some money for your parents, for your expenses, so that's it. You'll allocate some money for your emergency fund. You'll allocate some money for some other rainy day, whatever it is. But basically, you will allocate every month, and those numbers or percentages won't vary much. It won't be like, let's do this much this month, do that much this month. It's like a strict rule that whenever that money comes, you have 5 bank accounts. Then as soon as that money comes, you put that money in those 5 bank accounts. That bank account of needs, that bank account of desires, that bank account of investments, that bank account of parents, that bank account of something else, and my salary account, zero balance. That is a zero-based budgeting rule. Number 8, the 10% joy test. Very interesting. Whatever you want to spend money on some desire or desire, look at your previous desire or desire's expenses and ask yourself, after doing this new expense, from that previous enjoyment, will I get at least 10% more enjoyment or not? Let's say this once more. Suppose you attend a party last weekend. This weekend also, your friend is saying, let's party. And the question you will ask is that the fun you had last week, will you get at least 10% more fun in this week's party or not? If not, you will skip it. If yes, then you will do it. What does this mean? You are maximizing your enjoyment, your joy, for the same money. You are maximizing your happiness, which is basically an outcome of your desire through your money. Otherwise, what's the point? So many times you say, let me spend money. It's not fun at all. So you will spend money for no reason. If you think a little before this, you will try to answer this question. Answers and experience. I like my claim. Number 9, the too fast rule. This means every week, many of us keep a fast. And nowadays, never tries going on. Fast is going on. So some keep it on Tuesday, some on Friday, some on Thursday, some on Saturday. Similarly, you have to keep 2 fasts of money every month. What does this mean? That day, you won't spend any money. You won't. Not even online, not even UPI. I am not talking about actual money. That day, you won't spend money. You can define. Let's say you won't eat the whole day. We will eat after 5 p.m. So you can say, we will spend after 5 p.m. We will spend after 7 p.m. We can spend before 9 p.m. But on the main day, we won't spend. That does 2 things. Number 1, random riff-raff expenses stop. The unnecessary expenses like eating here, buying here, etc., shopping online, clicking on a random ad, etc. Number 2, you plan your expenses because you don't live. So it's not like expenses will stop. Expenses will have to happen. But how will you plan it? How will you schedule it? How? Maybe you will tell your friends that for this you will have to pay, and here is the money up front, etc. Whatever you have to plan. But in a month, keep 2 fasts of money. Number 10, the 30% home EMI rule. EMI of that house's loan should be within 30% of your salary. This tells you the affordability. If it is more than this, then either the house is out of your current status or your salary is so less that you can't afford that house. And this is a good rule for you to keep yourself in limits. Number 11, the 30-day wish list strategy. It says whenever you want, maybe of need or maybe of desire, it will be a wish list. I mean, write it on an Excel sheet or a notebook. I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. At the end of 30 days, you will prioritize them according to what is needed the most. So, by making a list, you will see which of these things you need the most, which of these things you need the least, and which of these things are in between them. And that will give you the focus that which of these things from this entire list or not.